you, Lara. And I hope everyone is safe and sound during these tough times that we are going through. And thank you all for joining today's session. Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Francis, for joining us for this webinar. And I'm looking forward to a great session with you all. In terms of what we're going to cover today as part of the session, I'll just have a quick overview in terms of who we are at Freshworks. We're going to talk a little bit about the impact of employee experience and engagement on business performance. What are the strategies aimed at meeting employees' consumer world-driven experiences? And also talk a little bit about how organizations are looking to reimagine self-service capabilities within the organization, keeping in mind the employee experience and expectation in mind. And last but not the least, we'll also get some insights from the speakers in terms of their 2 cents in terms of how we could look at improving self-service to improve employee experience and engagement within the organization. With that, let me just quickly move and provide you a quick overview into who we are at Freshworks. At Freshworks, we've been helping businesses of all size for more than a decade to delight their customers and employees by providing an intuitive and easy-to-use solution when it comes to customer and employee engagement. Our solutions cater to the business needs across customer experience, sales and marketing, IT service management, HR management, and many others. To know more about Freshworks, please do visit our website, www.freshworks.com. And with that, I'll not spend much time there. Let's delve into the topic for today. Okay. So we recently conducted a survey with Harvard Business Review Analytics Services to understand the significance of employee engagement within the organization. And as you can see on the slide that you have, close to 92% of the respondents cited employee engagement as critical for their organization's success. So why is this critical? To understand this better, let's understand the cost of employee disengagement, right? And as you see here, employee disengagement has clear impact on 3 key pillars: business revenue, employee attrition, as well as the company culture. While a decrease in productivity can cause loss of revenue, it can also result in employee burnouts, leading to attrition. The survey from HBR also points to the fact that engaged teams are 17% more productive, they show less turnover, and have greater profitability. Most important of all, disengaged employees can negatively impact the brand image for the company. Having seen the impact, let us look into what the survey findings talk about the role of technology in employee engagement. We all today have the millennial workforce working for us, right? And the millennial workforce today expects consumer world-like experience with workplace technology as well. The survey goes to highlight this aspect with 91% citing higher technology expectations compared to a decade earlier. A most startling finding is that 77% felt good employees will consider looking for an alternative employer if their current job does not give them the access to the right tools, technology, or information. What does an IT leader take from this? And how can IT make a tangible impact to ensure right employee engagement and experience? I think this shouldn't be a surprise to most of you, the workplace technology. For an IT leader, this means technology and employee are inseparable today than ever before. Technology is not just about the type of laptop that is provisioned or the type of mobile device that is being provided to an employee. It covers a portfolio of applications across data that employees need to do their job well, as well as the applications that they need. The CIO organization or the CIO org specifically plays a pivotal role in bringing the devices, applications, processes, and data together to empower employees in their job function. At this point in time, let me bring the experts in to get some insights from them. And maybe I'll go first with Grace here. As an IT practitioner, how are you seeing workplace technology evolve at your organization to meet the consumer world-driven experiences?
Thank you, Rohit. Just as your research has shown, we are seeing that our employees are expecting customer-like experience from what they get in their social work. They want it now at the workplace. So we're seeing our employees or our staff becoming less and less patient when we don't deliver our services in an efficient, friendly, and timely manner. And now we are also being pushed to personalizing this support so that the one size fits all is no longer an option. They want instant service that is catered and is tailored to them. So, with that kind of change in terms of how the customer is behaving, we are forced to also shift how we look at technology. We can no longer rely on the silos of technology. We have to now look at more integrated technologies that talk to each other to meet the customer expectations. So we are finding ourselves using a lot of APIs to integrate collaborative tools, which already our staff are using, together with our ITSM tool. So there's a lot of collaborative and integration efforts between the MS teams, with our ITSM tool, our Slacks, with our ITSM tool, so that we end up meeting the customer where they are. We don't want to inconvenience them. We don't want to cause them not to be productive, because it has an overall effect to the organization.
Yeah, I think that's great thoughts, Grace. And I think what I see from your response is essentially the shift is more towards an integrated approach over a siloed approach when it comes to workplace technology, and bringing together the different data applications together to provide a more seamless experience and an uninterrupted service support experience for the employees.
Correct, yes.
Great. Okay, let's move ahead and talk a little bit more about this. And as we talk about workplace technology, the corporate IT self-service portal has to be one of the most touted ITSM advancements in the last decade. And it was going to cure most of the ITSM ills with the promise of better, faster, cheaper IT service delivery and support. And delivering against the shift left consumer world driven support expectation, which Grace was talking about. At that same time, reducing costs for both the IT department and the wider business, so to say. But has this been the real case? To understand this better, we worked with a thought leader and a leading analyst in the space, Stephen Mann, who's a principal analyst at ITSM.Tools, to understand how organizations are looking at self-service strategy. And we basically got this paper authored with him to get his point of view. We also have this white paper available for you to download in the handouts section. Please feel free to access it at the time of your convenience. So let us look at a few insights from this point of view paper. And before we go there, I guess we have a quick poll. So if we can have this activated quickly. And I believe Francis is back. Hi, Francis. I think he's just connecting his audio. Okay, we'll wait for a few minutes. It's on your screen. How would you rate the portal's employee experience? And we've started seeing responses come through. We'll wait for a few more minutes before we discuss this and move ahead. There are four options. Employees aren't a big fan. Employees avoid using it. Employees love it, and you're not aware about it. So just let me know once it's closed so that I can discuss the results as well. I still see a few folks responding there. Okay, I think it's closed now. And Francis, welcome back. I hope your audio is good now.
I think, Rohit, we will be able to tell if he's good when he tries to respond to a question. But
sure.
As we always say with technology, Murphy's Law, at some point it will let you down. So, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure the audience understands. So we are good.
So we have the response from the first poll question where we asked, how would you rate the portal's employee experience? And we see less than 30% or probably, less than 30% feel that, employees are loving it. So which basically goes to talk about there's a whole lot of scope available for organizations to relook at their self-service strategy to to ensure they meet up the consumer world driven expectation that today employees have when it comes to self-service, right? And with that, we'll continue this discussion further. Let me just go to the next slide. And let us look at a few insights which come from a survey which was done by a Finnish company called Happy Signals. It's essentially data collected on incident management. There are two data sets that you see here, one on your left-hand side, which is from Q4 2020, which is during the course of the pandemic, so to say. And on your right side of the screen, you have data from Q1 2020, which was before folks went into pandemic, right? Now, what the diagram really shows is contrary to the promise of self-service portals being quicker than traditional channels of support, the highest level of employee loss productivity is seen with the IT self-service portal. And also, if you look at the happiness quotient across the different channels, it's probably at the lowest. And that's something which we are also seeing with the responses that have come through, with less than 30% of the attendees feeling that their employees are happy with their existing self-service portal. It is also interesting to compare this data to the pre-pandemic view, which is there on the right-hand side. And if you see, there isn't a lot of change that has happened in terms of adoption when it comes to IT self-service portal. Although there's slight improvement in the happiness quotient, considering the entire work from home scenario. But the real winner that we see in that graph out there is chat as the channel. If you look at chat, the happiness quotient has increased from 61 points to 70 points, and it also has less amount of employee loss productivity. So this is interesting, to note as we look to the next slide. And this was a small survey which we ran at Freshworks to understand is the IT self-service portal meeting the goals of shift left? And when we asked this question about how would you rate the portal's employee experience, not a very different response, right? Less than 30% here as well point out that they had great experience. A whole lot of majority either not knowing about it or kind of okayish experience. The next question which we asked them was also around how would you rate the success of your IT self-service portal? And the options were, is that meeting expected ROI? Is this just good enough? Not a success? And again, the thing which came out very strongly in this is less than 30% feel that they have the expected ROI achieved from the solution. This was a pulse survey that we ran with about 80 responses that we got across the globe. So again, one, the employees are not really happy about it, and also the fact that you're not seeing a great success rate coming from your IT self-service portal. And IT self-service portal, like I mentioned to you before, was probably touted as one of the great solutions to solve the shift left experience for the employees and the organization on the whole. Let's move ahead as we move to the next topic. And hopefully, if Francis can hear us and his audio is sorted, he could probably take this question to begin with, which is essentially asking, why are organizations expecting a low portal success? And are you seeing similar trends in your day-to-day life as well? I believe we still have challenge with audio. Grace, could you go first in that case? If Francis is back, we'll come to know.
Thank you, Rohit. So what I have seen with regards to the low success rate of the portals is especially when you don't have buy-in, whether it's top-down or bottom-up, with regards to the tool itself. So first things first, you need to get the buy-in from everyone who will be using the tool. Make sure you talk to them, give them the benefits of how the portal would be able to make their lives easier and how it would make them have a better customer experience in their day-to-day activities. So once you have that buy-in and you get feedback from the users, because they do use portals even in their social lives. So get the user requirements, what they like about portals, what they don't like about portals, so that when you are going to purchase this portal, you already have in mind what your users already want and what the experience has been. Because once you don't capture that, then the portal is likely to fail. Something else is maybe just involve them in the POC process. So when you're doing your proof of concept, have a closed user group. Make sure they're testing out, because that also adds into that buy-in. Once you launch the portal, then you get a better success rate. So if you don't involve the users from the onset, then you may end up having a portal that is not being used by anyone. Something else is also getting an out-of-the-box solution. So in terms of customization, once you get a portal, in order to make the portal a success within your organization, you need to do customization to fit your everyday user so that they're able to feel that the tool is actually talking to them and is also they're able to incorporate it into their day-to-day activities. Something else maybe I could think of is the culture. Just as your poll has shown. So our cultural perspective of when I walk in or when I go to someone, I get faster service. That also could affect the success of the portal. So we have our staff who are over-reliant on their other channels. So write an email, they'll do a chat, just because I think as Africans, we like chatting, or even as a human race, we like chatting. We like to feel heard. We like to feel that somebody has heard my story and has been able to help me. So we see that the portal, when you're thinking about the portal, you need to think about how it talks to your end user, because they need to feel heard. They need to feel that, yes, my issue is going to be resolved because I've been...
Great. So we'll probably wait for Grace to come back. And I think to the point which Grace was probably talking about as well is the entire organization change management process, the importance of organization change management when you're moving from one way to the other, as well as just in terms of keeping user at the center of the entire initiative. If it's about bringing in an IT self-service portal, how important it is to have a user-centric approach to it. So till Grace probably comes back, let me just probably go ahead and discuss the next slide that we had. So in reality today, especially in the light of the new ways of working that have been mandated on us in the wake of the global pandemic, the employee expectations of self-service will only continue to rise in 2021 and beyond. And based on the factors that we just see, right? The ongoing remote working status and increased reliance on digitally enabled capabilities, the ongoing improvement of consumer world service and support capabilities that is continuously pushing the bar for any internal IT support capabilities, and the pressure on the employees to maximize their productivity in their new environment, the work from home environment that we are in today, also kind of raises the expectation level when it comes to the self-service function within the organization. And add to it, the IT departments are also tasked with reducing costs while simultaneously improving on the employee experience. And this is likely against the backdrop that one sees in terms of handling increased demand with proportionally fewer personnel who are operating within the IT team. So in meeting with the increased demand for self-service, organization could simply struggle with their legacy IT service self-service portal, hoping that the employee adoption increases over a period of time and the happiness or the employee experience also improves with the channel. But sadly, from our experience also working with a lot of customers, this do nothing or we will tinker with this, we will change something in the IT self-service portal and it will start giving results is not the solution that we are looking at, right? And this just harms the organization in the long run. It continues to result in low productivity levels for the employees as well. Moving ahead and given the scenario that we are in, how do we flip the switch, right? How do we flip the switch and reimagine IT self-service in a manner that not only improves the employee experience, engagement, adoption levels, but also how IT departments can create better, faster, and cheaper operations and outcomes, right? And we have a panel question here. I hope we have Francis. Great. So Francis, given the light what we saw in terms of the IT self-service portals not having the kind of employee experience engagement level, but at the same time there's a surge in the demand for self-service to meet the rising consumer-driven expectations of employees. How would you, from your vantage point, provide some thoughts or initiatives that IT could consider, to improve given the scenario that we are seeing?
Thanks, Rohi, and apologies for the technical hitches. Yeah, like Laura said, these things happen. Very interesting topic we're discussing today on IT self-service. And to just answer your question, I'd probably want to begin with just saying that, simplicity is key. Just like Grace was saying before she dropped off, simplicity is just the way to go. When you're considering your IT self-service portals, consider how many steps do I, as a user, have to go through before I can get what I want. Because if it's too complicated, then I get bored. I look at it this way. Consider your internal customers the same way you consider your external customers. So, for instance, if you have a banking application that's not easy for your external customers to use, then they would not be very interested. If they have a bad experience the first time, then they won't come back, and they'll end up considering other options, which will be good for you. So in the same manner, when you're dealing with your internal customers, the employees of the organization, it's important, very key for the IT team to look into ways in which they can simplify especially when it comes to the UI design. Try and simplify it and make it such that a user can easily get and navigate to what they really want. The other thing is, as Grace mentioned, stakeholder buy-in. Get a pilot team to help you in the rollout of the IT self-service portal, whether it's off the shelf or whether it's in-house developed. There should be a pilot team, what you would call your champions, the people who will help you to roll out the portal to the rest of the organization, because they understand it better. They are those fast learners within the organization, and they can trickle this down to the rest of their teams, whether you're in finance, whether you're in HR, and that kind of thing. The other thing that I want to point out is, now that we are in this era of COVID accelerated digital transformation, you need to look at how can you avail this portal. Now that people are working from home, how can you avail this portal, let's say on your mobile platforms and on the cloud platforms, so that you can now, for the simplified issues that need IT support and help desk support, you can easily cascade these to that portal, and someone can access it from their mobile device, whether they're in the field or whether they are working from home. They can easily get the assistance that they need, and this releases the IT teams to focus on other areas of innovation and transformation, which is very key in the age that we are living in. So those are some of the things that I would quickly want to advise IT teams to look at, and this would be the best time to sharpen those particular platforms. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Francis. I think that makes a lot of sense. Uncomplicate things, simplicity being the key, the UI, the intuitiveness with which the end users could engage with the platform becomes critical. And having said that, we also have some insights from the point of view paper which we work with Stephen Mann, and it kind of echoes some of the point which you mentioned as well, right? So it's all about providing an immediate, friction-free service and support experience. Like, IT leaders can do this by combining alternate access channels. You mentioned about mobile applications, integrating, I think Grace was mentioning about this point about integrating IT support with work collaboration apps, and as well as coupling this with smart capabilities in the form of chatbots, virtual assistants. We saw from the survey from Happy Signals how chatbots have kind of, or the chat functionality as a channel to reach out to solve your IT queries is increasing over from Q1 to Q4, pre-pandemic to post-pandemic view that we saw. So this is something which is gaining ground. And just a small example to point out here, right? And an employee might request additional software while working on a customer solution with colleagues on Slack or MS Team for that matter. And here the lost employee productivity is minimal and their experience is similar to what they expect in their personal lives. And everything just works fine without with zero fuss for that matter. So imagine this scenario where you do not have an integrated approach, but while the employee wants something or is in need of an access to a software, he needs to go out of the collaboration platform, needs to go to an IT self-service portal or go to his email channel, put in the request and get. So look at the employee, and this is just one example that we are talking about. And it's not just about improving productivity, but the entire experience that the employee has adds a lot of value for the employees, especially during these times that we are in, right? And that brings me to kind of talk a little bit about how Freshservice, which is the ITSM solution from Freshworks, is helping modernize self-service experience at organizations. Great. So at Freshworks, we believe that every employee should be able to receive assistance anytime, self-serve on any channel. It could be a collaborative platform which he's working on, or email as a channel, whichever the channel of choice, and receive instant resolutions for at least the simple queries that come up. And Freshservice's virtual agent, which is powered by the Freddy AI engine, empowers enterprises and IT teams to provide a best-in-class digital experience to their employees with an intelligent and predictive conversational AI solution. Requesters can simply chat with the virtual agents in the most natural way possible. The virtual agents essentially leverage the natural language understanding to provide users with the relevant articles based on the query which comes up. And in case the articles do not match with their query, the agent also essentially points users to the incident forms to ensure they report the issue correctly. It also basically helps in deflecting a lot of L1 tickets, thus relieving the agents from a lot of repetitive manual tasks which come their way, and in the process deliver a faster IT support from the channel of their choice, right? So essentially simplifying the support experience and not kind of having a very hard and fast rule in terms of you need to go to this portal and then put in your ticket, right? So it's not about the channel. It's about taking self-service to the employees so that they have better experience and better engagement. Great. So with that, I had this slide and I was hoping to get some tips from both these speakers. I'm not sure if Grace is back, but Francis, from your point of view, what could be some tips which you could provide to the attendees and the listeners, as well as when we send this recording to the registrants? What could be some of the tips which you would provide or you would suggest to improve self-service capability that can help improve employee experience?
Thanks, Rohi, once again. I think we have talked about it a lot in the discussion from when we began. But really, I'd really just like to echo on the issue of simplicity. There's not much that, for users, what works best is what is simple, what can be easy to understand. Keeping it plain and simple, because sometimes we look at what are these options or solutions that we can look for that can bring down the costs, but we forget about usability, we forget about user friendliness, and so we are so keen on bringing down the costs. So let's not be so keen on ROI, let's be keen on effectiveness and efficiency. That's the first tip that I would provide. The second tip is to make or take advantage of disruptive technology, artificial intelligence. Let's continue exploring the use of the bots, because that can easily make the user experience a bit better. If you're stuck somewhere on the portal and a bot can quickly pop up to help you as you navigate through the portal, then that would ease your experience through and make it painless as you continue to use the platform. So really, those are the two things: make use of technology, and then keep it simple and painless.
Thanks, Francis. And we also, I believe, have Grace back.
Okay. For me, I'd like the tool to be more intuitive. It's when a tool is intuitive, it gives an impression of fast service. Like for example, the way when you already had pre-filled some of your details, and Google is able to pick that up when you're trying to fill something online. So that gives you, I mean, it makes users feel that at least I have like half the form to fill, because Google has already filled up my PO box and my phone number and all that. So make the tool more intuitive. Also, in terms of the user experience, if the portal itself would be able to inform the user at what stage the issue is. So for example, if it has been assigned, is it being worked on? What is the SLA? So that I don't have to keep going back to find the person, or it doesn't have any information of whether my issue has already been picked up by someone or not. So let the tool be able to give the user some form of status update, which would make them at least more calm when it comes to time period to resolve their issue. And also just to talk about the journey, the customer's journey, how to make it maybe shorter, have the self-service tool be as straightforward, just as Francis said, make it simple, so that the user doesn't get fatigued and then start looking for other methods just to get to the IT support team. So make it easy, easy for the user, and more intuitive. That is what I would go for.
I think that's great points, Grace. I think, and one of the points which you highlighted was around visibility. And it's not just important to have visibility for the employees who are raising the requests and want to know the status of where it is and how it is, but even at an agents and admins level, right? Just to understand where is this pending at an approval stage, right? Is it pending approval at a manager's level? So when probably the employee is pinging the agent asking, hey, what's the status on the request that I just raised? The agent has also a complete visibility in terms of where the ticket or the issue is with, and kind of respond effectively with the to the employee, thus impacting experience and engagement as well. We, I think, have the final poll here, and it's just about, if as employees expect smart, easy to use technology at work, would you like to know more on how Freshworks can help you deliver consumer grade experiences at the workplace? So that's just a quick poll to understand if you're looking for a detailed session where we could walk you through in terms of how we are helping organizations deliver consumer world experiences. So great. I think we already have some responses coming in, so that looks good. In the meanwhile, we could probably, this is coming to the end of our session, and in the meanwhile, I think, Laura, if we have any questions from the attendees, we could probably make that open.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rohit, for the content, and thank you to Grace and Francis for your input as Rohit was going through his presentation. I was just taking a few notes. As I said, it's always a learning experience for me, and I was taking a few notes as you were talking through and as the panelists were responding to some of the questions. And I just wanted to share my input from a business perspective, because I realized all of you have technology backgrounds, okay? And sometimes you forget to relate to the business in the business language, so that all these technology solutions make sense and the business understand why they must adapt them or use them, all these things matter, because at the end of the day, the reason why we're doing what we're doing is to improve or increase productivity, create a great working experience, and be able to respond to customers very fast. And now that we're working remotely, we need to think about how does somebody sort themselves out from wherever they are. So I was reading an article yesterday on 4 things that new leaders should think about. Leaders should think about today, given the new way of working. And one of the things that came out very clearly is that employees, because of remote working, really value the kind of technology that the organization has invested in. The organization is expecting them to use as tools of production and tools of trade. So if your technology is not the latest technology, because apparently they get excited by the latest technology, if the self-service is not working as quickly as it should, then you will have a very high rate of attrition. So it looks like technology is actually getting closer and closer to the core business than being far away as it were before, because this is actually the core tools of trade today. So talking of that, this gives me a segue into my next point. It is important that when we are rolling out such solutions, especially from a self-service perspective, you have to engage HR. HR is the only one that can give the right tone for adoption very quickly. So Francis talked about champs within the organization. So how do you create those champs? How do you identify those champs within the organization? HR has to be involved. Grace talked about organizational change. Who runs organizational change? And this is the most difficult thing within any organization. Okay, change is difficult for any human being. Change was difficult when we had to work remotely. You know, we saw organizations pushing out solutions around how many people logged in, how many times did you log in, were you really working? Which for some of us, for me as an individual, as Laura, I don't think that's the way anybody should work. You know, you should know what you're supposed to do and do it. So it is important that you involve HR. And I think to also create some kind of excitement within the organization as you're rolling out some of these solutions, especially around self-service, you have to also engage marketing so that they make it fun. Remember, we don't have that human-to-human interaction anymore. You know, as Grace was saying, you'd rather go and stand next to your IT person to fix your issue. But now you're sitting where you are alone. And how do you get to fix your issues? If there's an exciting campaign that's happening from a marketing perspective that has a business tone to it and the impact of it to the business, then as an individual sitting remotely, when I have a technical issue, I will remember that what it was in my head. And then I will go back and look at what were the steps to me fixing this issue. Okay. So those are my few points as a business person on introducing some of these self-service solutions. Now, I don't know if there are any questions. Does anybody have any questions? Because I had seen some questions earlier, but I seem to have lost them. Okay, so the questions have been published already. I think they've been answered, Rohit. So we should be good to go, unless you have anything else to add, or maybe any of the panelists has anything to add.
Laura, I like what you have said about, tech is not understanding or being able to articulate things in the business language. And I'd like to just focus on that for a minute. I'm hoping that I won't diverge from what we're talking about. But is there a sort of forum that can be organized for techies to learn this, to learn how to speak in the business language? Or do we learn this on the job? Is this something that is gained by experience? Or is it something that, to come up with a curriculum, I can say, this is how to communicate to the key stakeholders or to the business, because that comes up as a discussion a lot of times. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I think it is important that we kind of start shifting that conversation and get the business language in for the technology teams. It makes it easier for them to engage. It also makes it easier for putting solutions together that will support the business. So we can definitely look at doing something like that as CIO. Maybe we can also reach out to Freshworks and see what we can do around this. Because I noticed also from the discussions and the sessions that Freshworks has from a webinar perspective, there's a lot of bridging the gap between the business and technology. So I love that, that conversation becomes so much easier. So maybe, Rohit, this is something that you guys can internally discuss and see how can we have a session around that, or maybe look at having several sessions on how to bridge the gap between technology and the business.
Absolutely. I think that's a very important aspect as well, right? I mean, as an IT team, how do you work closely with business, understand what the business needs, and work closely with the stakeholders to deliver the right technology, and not only deliver the right technology, but also propagate the technology usage, how they could use this technology. And you brought a very good point in terms of bringing in HR or marketing to kind of have a rollout of that very emphatically, and to also Grace's point, having a very top management focus when you push something like this, to get the eyes and the ears going, right? So yeah.
Okay. Then I can see some questions have come through. So we have a question that is asking, how does one measure the IT self-service portal success?
Great, Lara, you want me to go first, and then somebody, or any of the panelists want to go first?
Yeah, maybe Grace, because we have ladies first, please. Grace, do you want to unmute yourself?
Thank you, Laura. So how do you measure the success of an IT service portal? I'll look at it in two ways. So we're trying to make sure that we do not, as much as possible, not disrupt the already set ways of working for some of the staff members. So I would look at it. Does this portal have features that can help me integrate with already existing technologies? So does it understand AI, artificial intelligence? Does it have ML, machine language? Does it integrate using APIs? So if it's able to do that and reach the customer or reach our staff members where they are, then for me, it would, to me, that is a successful portal. Another thing is how interactive is it? How well does the user, or how often does this user go into the portal to put in their issues? So what you'll notice is with the ITSM tools, the way they've been created, you're able to tell this incident was sent to us either via email, via chat, via Slack, via Yammer. You're able to get all that once the issue gets to the ITSM tool. So as you're doing your analysis, you're able to tell how many times has somebody logged into the portal and put in their issue there, and the issue has been resolved. So you're able to check how usable it is by such measures, which is already embedded on the ITSM tool. So these are analytics that you can do within the tool and tell how popular the portal is within the organization.
That's quite interesting from Grace. And to add on to that, what I would actually look at is, when you're receiving a lot of phone calls and requests on email for support, and you begin to notice that the frequency for this has gone down, I think that's a very good indicator that that you're doing something right. Because if the portal is there and people are not logging into it or using it, as Grace was saying, then that raises some eyebrows, and you begin to wonder, is it that they do not like the portal? Is it that they do not understand how to navigate through it? And even for external customers, if there's a platform that you have published to them, if you're receiving consistent questions and follow-ups on it, then that should tell you that it's not as it's not as painless as you want it to be, and so you need to do something about it. The other thing is also taking a poll. You can take a poll within the organization. Some of these platforms should have analytics capabilities to be able to, send out those polls, and you'll be able to get feedback from the users. How easy is it to navigate through the solution, and what issues are you having? So you can be able to get that feedback and generate some good statistics from that can inform your decisions moving forward.
I think Laura's dropped off. So I think I agree with both Francis and Grace. I think just a dipstick check in terms of understanding whether folks are able to, know where to go to put in their request, and they know what the purpose of this is, right? So I think a quick poll, just understanding from where people are sending in their requests or incidents for that matter would give you a good enough indication in terms of whether your IT self-service portal is actually meeting the purpose that it was set out for. So yeah, agree with you.
Okay. I think there's another question. So Kihiko wants to know, how do you ensure the security of the IT self-service platform, especially in this era of work from home? And I think this is very important, a question around security, so that you do not compromise the IT ecosystem. Any of you want to take that?
I think Francis is the security expert here. So
yeah,
I'll probably have Francis go first.
Let's begin at the very stage of development. We need to implement the secure by design principle. You're not coming to test the platform once it's in operation. You're doing this while it's it's in the development stage, and so that you can capture all of the issues. And you can be able to find out are things like authentication and authorization working well? Are features like MFA, multi-factor authentication, working well? And are you able to capture things like encryption of the data while in transit and while in storage? I think you also need to look at training, a lot of training for employees, because things like phishing attacks can happen very easily. If there's a URL that you're using to log into that, it makes it very easy for a malicious person to develop a similar URL and just tweak it a bit and send it out to employees. They'll think that they're logging into the self-service portal, but no, in essence, they're really logging into a fake portal. What mechanisms do you have in place for that? Have you trained your employees even before you deploy? Have you trained them on what exactly they need to look out for so that they can avoid such kind of attacks? The other thing on security really is, if there are various components of that particular portal that only certain people should access, you need to look at the principle of least privilege. I only access what I need to access or what I'm authorized to access. And so levels of security. If something is classified, if something is public, if something is sensitive, then you need to apply the necessary security controls and something we call role-based access, so that everyone is not just accessing everything. So from a security standpoint, those are the key things that would come up for me top of my head. Maybe Grace, you could add something.
Thank you, Francis. Just to echo what you've already mentioned, is just with regards to how much access are you giving your different staff members to any information in the cloud, and how well have you trained them in terms of security? Do they know that there's phishing, and do they understand what that is? Do they understand the danger it poses, not only from a revenue point of view, but even a reputation point of view for the organization? So implementing some of the things that you mentioned, like MFA and role-based access, are things that should be the top of the mind of IT when they're going for such solutions that are in the cloud. Also, just as you're doing your purchase of this service, make sure you do your investigation about the company you're buying from. You need to understand, what are they doing with your data? How do they handle their data, and what are they doing with it? Is it does the company have a good reputation of making sure that your data is safe, so that you can also give that security back to your users? Yeah, that would be it. So Laura, back to you.
Okay, thank you very much on that. I think we have one last question. How quickly can we integrate the self-service capability capabilities with collaboration apps. Rohit, I think that's for you.
Okay, I mean from our standpoint, I think it's pretty straightforward. We can get folks up and running and that's the best part of the solution that we offer, and it's pretty simple. It's not complicated, and I'm sure Grace has been leveraging such integrations on her platform, and she could also probably talk about the way if you are looking to get it done fast, you just need to ensure whoever you work with has those APIs to easily integrate with any collaboration platform that is available out there. So as far as Freshworks and Freshservice goes, we have ready APIs which integrate effectively with any collaboration platform, and you can be up and running in days. And yeah, that's how it is.
Yes, just to weigh in to what Rohit has said, just the use of APIs to make sure that the tool is able to integrate with the tools that you already have in place is very important. So whatever tool or whichever company you go with, make sure you ask that question: how integratable is it with other technologies, which you can even give examples of what is already existing within your ecosystem, so that they tell you explicitly if it's possible or it's not. And then if not, then you have to make a decision whether you go with a different API or a different company altogether that is able to meet your user and business needs.
Great. So thank you very much, Grace and Francis. You have been great panelists. Thank you for your wealth of knowledge, and thank you for sharing with us your experiences within your organizations and throughout, when you've been delivering IT services, especially from a self-service perspective, which has become crucial today to any organization, considering we're working remotely. Rohit, thank you so much to Freshworks for always delivering great content, great solutions that are necessary and required today in the workspace. We really do appreciate that, and for helping our businesses and our enterprises and public sector within East Africa get to the next level with regards to delivering services to the people. We always look forward to partnering with you. To our audience, thank you so much for joining us today. Please do let us know if you'd like to have a further discussion with Freshworks. I think today's discussion has been amazing. We have learned quite a bit, at least from a personal perspective. So I'm looking forward to some of you having a more in-depth discussion, because we can only talk about so much in an hour and 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So we hope some of you would like to have a further discussion with Freshworks. We do look forward to hosting you once again. We do have our FinTech Summit on Thursday and Friday next week, which is the 20th and 21st of this month of May. So we do look forward to hosting you there. And please keep in touch. Let's keep talking and let's keep having this discussion. Keep safe, take care of yourselves, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.